Hello, everyone. 1 second. Whoa, close up. Hi, you guys. Feels so good to be here. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Hi, Lois and Christy, Sterla, Dorada, Cindy, Brittany, Kathy, Carrie, Brent. How are you guys doing? Happy Memorial Day weekend if you celebrate that. I think it's only in the United States. Maybe not. I have no idea. I think it's just the United States. Hi, Krista, Tasha, Deanna, Anna, Brett, Carolyn. Feels good to be here with you guys. I got a lot of energy moving through my body today. A lot of energy. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys doing? Happy Saturday, Sunday, whenever this is for you. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Thank you for your patience and your flexibility. I was utterly exhausted yesterday. I could not show up for you guys. It was not going to work. So I had to reschedule for today. You're on the graveyard shift. Hi, Liz. You're watching from Malta. Good to be here. Hello. Hi, Kayla. Hi, Holly. Jennifer, you're doing great. I'm reading your book all evening. Awesome, Suzanne. Thanks for reading it. Couldn't sleep, so got up just to hear you. Hi, Kathy. Too many squats, dude. Kylie, my thighs, like what? WTF on the bodybuilders. Yeah, my thighs and butt have been sore for 2 straight days. That was fun. Feeling good. Hi, Jill. Hi, Joe. Hi, Nan. Hi, Jim and Connie. We love you. Hi, Happy Bohemian. Hi, Bridget. Glad you're here. Intense energies. Couldn't fall asleep. Oh my God, my butt hurts so bad. Anywho, yeah, where do we start? So this is a Q&A. So if you have questions down below, you should see ask a question. Click ask a question, type your question in. I'll do as many questions as I can today. I have a lot more energy than yesterday. Hi, Daryl. Hi, Anna. You're reading your book every evening. Yay. The gym is so amazing. Listen, I don't ever go to the gym. I was like, what do you do at the gym? I go to the yoga. So when I was at the gym the other day with my friend Rodney, who basically lives at the gym, he was showing me all these things to do and I had so much fun. Like I had just had so much fun and my body just was like, it really loved it. It was like, my body just like was like craving it. It was really interesting. Hi, Rose, sending love to your brother who's struggling. Hi, from Brooke from Oklahoma. All right, let's get started. Let's begin. So a few quick things, housekeeping. First of all, if you're brand new to the community, welcome. Please say hello in the chat box. Let us know that you're new and where you're from so we can give you some love. Also, we have a Mighty Networks forum. It's a private online forum where everybody in the community connects in between the live events. If you'd like to join and you haven't, just shoot me a quick email and my brother will send you the link. And my email address is contact@lorieladd.com. And you can also just message us here in Patreon and we'll send you the link. Again, this is a Q&A that we're doing today. If you have a question, please don't put it in the chat box. I'm going to be answering the questions in the actual ask a question section. So you want to look down below, I believe, on your screen and click ask a question, and then you can enter in the question in the box that pops up. Okay. The June schedule is up, so you guys should see that up on the Patreon page. Our next live event is a mini session. It's going to be on Saturday, June 4th at 9 a.m. California time. The mini sessions are where I choose 3 community members and they receive a free 30-minute session. But each session, we do all 3 sessions live in the mini session. So in that event and in front of the whole community. And it's really powerful. It's really beautiful. I love the mini sessions because we always learn so much through them. I went to the store today and hi Rose. I went to the store today, speaking of Rose, and I was going through, I walked down the like herb aisle where it's bulk herbs. I never go down that aisle because I don't drink herbal teas. I don't cook. So I never really go down that aisle, but my guides were like, "We need you to go down the bulk herb aisle." And I was like, "Okay." Also, PS, right this morning when I woke up, I was meditating in a field and my guides came in really, really strongly. Like I swear I could feel like, you know, almost like a spaceship landing in the field. It was really powerful, potent. I promise you, they were freaking right there. It was crazy. And they asked me what my intentions were, right? They always do that lately. They've been asking me, like, what are your intentions? So I told them what my one intention was. And they said, we need you to be silent for the next couple of days. We need you to fast as much as possible. And we need you to sort of be in more of like a meditative state. So not a lot of interaction, not a lot of conversation. And of course, many of you guys know that I do plasma therapy. So it's like urine therapy. So I drink a lot of urine or plasma. I call it plasma. So they were like, just detox and like move yourself into this like higher state of awareness for the next couple of days. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I was just with my friend Rodney for 8 days. So it was really like out there. And so when I went to the store, I don't even know why I'm telling you guys this story, but anyways, when I went to the grocery store and went to the bulk aisle, my guides were like, we need you to get cacao nibs, rose petals, and cinnamon. I was like, rose petals? I've never gotten rose petals. I've never gotten cacao nibs. I've gotten cinnamon. And I was like, okay. And then I bought it and I went home and I messaged my friend Kartsi and I was like, hey, what do you do with cacao nibs and rose petals? Like, can you make a tea out of it? And she's like, yeah, it opens your heart, brings in love. It opens up your heart. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm drinking a tea that I made. By the way, I had to buy like a tea bag thing. I didn't even have like loose tea bag things. I didn't even know what I was doing. But if you want to open up your heart, go buy some cacao nibs, buy some rose petal, some cinnamon, maybe a little cayenne, and heart opening. Whew. They actually say that cacao nibs is God's food. So dates obviously is God's candy, and cacao is God's food, right? So anywho, there's that. A cacao ceremony and make that with rose petals. Yeah, I had no idea. I was like cacao nibs, and then they were like rose petals, and I was like, rose petals, okay. Like I had no idea what people did with cacao or I had no idea. I just knew I was supposed to buy that. Can you use rose petals from your own rose bush? Probably. They were dry. They're dry, right? So maybe you have to dry them. Lisa, Krista, have you noticed anything in your heart since you started drinking it? Well, I just started right now, but before I started drinking it, there's a lot of energy moving through my body today. So we'll see. Anywho, all right. So let's get going. I am going to pick a card for us at the end of the class. It's not a class. At the end of the live today, pick a card. All right, so let's go. Again, ask a question is down below. Click it, open it, and enter in your question. Also, you can vote for the questions to go up. So if you vote yes to a question, it will move up. I don't just do the questions that were highly voted. I go through all of the questions. I lead ceremonial cacao ceremonies. I've been working with this heart opening medicine since 2020. Wow. So Carrie, like if I drink it right now, is it opening up my heart? Is it opening up my heart? It's amazing. I mean, I'm in. I'm going back down to buy more buy more rose petals today after the class. Why do I keep calling it a class? All right, let's go. It's not a class. All right, let's start with the first question, 10 votes. And it's even more powerful if you get ceremonial grade cacao, which also has the cacao batter. Oh, yeah, Lois, try drinking it as like an intentional, like opening my heart. All right, let's get to the questions. Beatrice, dear Lori, I try to implement the overwhelming amount of tips and information into my everyday life. And I notice that I get through pain and backlashes faster and somehow easier. And I allow myself much more rest. What is puzzling me is that I don't see much changes in my outside. I'm still stuck where I felt stuck before. Concerning my mission, there's a blank sheet. How does that go together? Well, I don't know what you mean when you say that nothing's changed on the outside. The only thing I can assume that you're saying is that everything in your life is the same out there. So maybe it's the same job, the same financial status, the same house, the same friends, that kind of thing. That's what I'm assuming you mean when you say that the internal is changing a lot, the external isn't necessarily. That's always how it happens first. So the internal body, the body has to shift first. And then the lens starts to shift, and then the physical reality starts to shift. So what we want to pay attention is this energetic world that we're in that looks physical. And we have to understand that it takes time. There's a slowness at times not at times, there is a slowness when you are creating from a higher frequency. This is kind of so when your body is holding higher frequencies, which is what's occurring right now for you, Beatrice, the way in which your life starts to change is both instantaneous and yet takes much longer. And so when your body starts to change energetically with higher frequency, you're beginning to pull in just by the vibrational pulse you're putting out. Okay. You're starting to pull in new ways of being, new realities. But it's an energy first that starts to move in. So what has to happen is that the physical reality has to start to match this energetic reality that's coming in. And the thing that we have to pay attention to that creates our physical reality that trumps the frequency is our thoughts and beliefs. So if we are holding a much higher frequency, but our thoughts and beliefs are still holding us in lower frequency ways of being, old aspects of us, we will stay in the older physical reality. This happens to us all the time because we forgot how this world works, this energetic world that looks physical. So regardless of what your physical world looks like, that is not the only reality. That is a reality that is based on the thoughts and beliefs that you're holding. If you know that your body is already holding new and higher frequencies, which it is, which is why you're starting to notice that you're moving through pain and backlashes faster and easier, you're in a more flow state on a physical level within your body. You now need to move into a more flow state in your external world, which means everything is okay. When you have back pain, right? Or whatever that is, it all just is okay, right? You just allow it to be. You're just feeling it. You have to start to be aware of that in your external world instead of judging it. Why isn't it happening? Why am I still here? Why is it not shifting? Why what is it that you're thinking and believing with the external world? Because the external world for all of us is an old version of our reality. It's an old version of our reality. Our physical body is already holding higher frequencies than what the physical reality is showing us. But what we have to practice is that the new energetic reality that is entering into our physical reality can only be let in when we let go of the thoughts and beliefs that we have held for a very long time that is connected to old versions of us and old frequencies in order to open the gate and allow the new energetic versions of you to enter in. Does this make sense? It's a little bit quantum, but it's truly how things are happening right now for us. So pay attention, you guys, throughout your day. Pay attention to the physical reality as being an old version, especially if you're intending and creating things in your life, okay? And even if you're not, it's still an old version that you're moving through. And you are currently simultaneously pulling in new energetic versions of your reality. And the way that you just allow yourself to move through it, through the old and into the new, is that you don't attach to things. You don't create stories around things. You pay attention to the thoughts that you're having around an experience. You pay attention to the beliefs that you're holding around certain experiences. Those thoughts and beliefs are absolutely unequivocally most likely from a past version of you. And because it is it's like it's a second nature to have them. You don't even realize that you're anchoring a physical reality into your now that is actually a past that doesn't need to be here anymore. What are your thoughts? What are your beliefs around this physical reality that's truly a past version of you? And so you're simply learning how to trust an energetic world that will eventually turn into a physical reality. You have to know that what you're experiencing is shifting and changing. And absolutely, can it apply to illness? Every illness that you have in your body is based on a past. It's not based on right here, right now. Illness is created from emotional states and experiences that have been stored in the body. They were stored from a past. So if you know that in your current now, your body's holding frequencies that can literally clear it, and that there is a version of you, an energetic version of you that is coming in to meet you, then all you have to pay attention to are the thoughts and the beliefs. The thoughts and the beliefs are what keep us in illness. A lot of the time, it's what keeps us in any of this. It's what keeps us away from abundance and joy and peace and love. It's the insecure thoughts. It's the programming. It's the trauma. It's all the things that we've been told about ourselves that have never been who we are. They came from an outside source, and now we hold them as truths. And they're not. None of it's true. None of the thoughts and beliefs about yourself, the insecurities, they're not you. They're not true. It's just that we live in a world where we are literally bombarded with other people's ideas of us, other ways that we're supposed to live and be and experience the world. We've had experiences that hurt us, that created pain or suffering or whatever it is. And because we didn't learn how to live in a flow state, and we were told to be afraid of certain emotions, etc., we didn't trust the natural flow of how this world works. And so we've anchored ourselves into pasts, and we've created illness and dis-ease. So start trying to experience yourself in more of a flow state, which means that my body is holding higher frequencies than my physical reality. Everything that is appearing in front of me is allowing me to bring in that energetic version of me into the physical reality, whatever it is. Everything that is showing up is allowing me to let it go or to step into it, right? Everything. Everything is an opportunity. And what are my thoughts and beliefs with everything that I'm experiencing? Because that creates the physical reality. It's literally the lens. It's the lens you use. Iwa, hi Lori. I'd like to ask you about choice. What to do if there is multiple scenarios that resonate equally with your higher self. They all feel good, but would present totally different outcomes in the end. How to know which choice is the right choice if they all feel great and resonate with you and all can be created from a now. There's no right choice. There's no right choice. There just is the choice. There never has been a right choice through the lens of the higher self. It's just choice. Even if it turns out to be something that creates pain or suffering or whatever, the higher self's lens doesn't have a right choice. The higher self's role is to always move you into the next highest version of you on this planet. So the higher self is always going to move you into, which is you, an opportunity to experience more joy, more peace, more love, more abundance, more freedom, more awareness, more sovereignty, more ease, more grace, always. So as long as you are following resonance without judgment, what's coming into my life right now, does it feel good or does it not feel good? Does it feel expansive or does it feel contractive? Higher self is expansive. Higher self, it brings joy, brings laughter, feels good. There's no story. Higher self has no stories. I should do this because of ... I shouldn't do this because higher self doesn't do that. Higher self is an energetic expression of you. And truly, the only thing higher self does in terms of navigating this world is following the highest expression, the highest vibrational state. That's it. So if somebody comes into your life and it just feels really good to hang out with them, you just start hanging out with them. You don't say to yourself, is this person the right person? Is this person going to do this? You don't do those storylines. We do that because we've been traumatized in the past. If a job pops up for you and it feels really good and it's an absolute like expansive yes, and then you start creating stories around it of how it's not supposed to be or it could be messed up or whatever, that's your ego. It's not higher self. Higher self is strictly energy. And it doesn't say there is a right choice. There's no such thing as right when you are living as resonance. It's simply an energetic response to opportunities that are arising. That's it. That's all it is. So throw out the right and the wrong and just choose. Just choose. Just choose. I'm wondering why, hello, Lori. I'm wondering why I went from taking a lot of webinars, Damien, Wynn, and you, to not wanting to take them anymore. My body is fatigued. Is this the mass ascension now on the planet or feeling the collective heaviness? I want a cocoon, only it looks like. Is this a normal process? Yeah, I think it's very, very normal for your body to dictate what it needs, which is what is happening for you, Em. When we are trying to control our process of evolution, of moving into new states of consciousness, new states of being, moving out of trauma, healing ourselves, deprogramming ourselves, all the things that we're doing. When we try to control it, i.e., doing a lot of webinars, let's say, or trying to listen to all these different courses or teachers, and your body is telling you it's getting exhausted, it's telling you no more, then you need to understand that from an energetic perspective, your body needs integration time. Your body needs you to slow down. It's what my guides told me today, slow down. It needs rest. It needs you to not think. It needs you to not process. It needs you to not do. So the story behind that is there something wrong with me? Why do I not want to do these things with these people anymore? The meditations, the webinars. Why am I feeling a call to pull back? Who cares what the answer is? You're feeling that, you follow it. That's the body saying, I know how to get you through this because I'm the one doing it, i.e. the body. We are not in charge of this. We are literally in a vessel. We're just being carried through this. The body is doing all of it. Now we're working side by side with the body, but the body is what is elevating its energies and its frequencies. We're just consciousness that's held at a certain frequency, that's experiencing new states of awareness, new states of being based on the body's frequency. Our frequency as consciousness doesn't change. It doesn't evolve, not while we're in a physical body. So you want to just listen. You don't feel like listening to Lori anymore. Don't listen to her. You don't feel like doing Damien's seminars. Don't do them. You feel like just being a recluse cocoon. Do it. Simply follow what your intuition and resonance and body is asking of you. That is the greatest gift that you can give yourself right now and have no judgment. No judgment. Hi, Holly. I'm adopting a French bulldog puppy. Hold on a second. I just lost that. I'm adopting a French bulldog puppy in mid to end of June who was born with a cleft lip. He will need surgery when he's older. Do animals also like us choose their core consciousnesses? Or is some other being selecting all challenges for any animal? The animal chooses it, but a lot of times animals don't have the same type of free will, but they agree to that. So this is why it's so courageous as a spirit to move into an animal or anything that can't kind of speak and doesn't have the same sort of complex mind where they can navigate the world in the same way. So dogs, for instance, are highly evolved consciousnesses that choose to incarnate into a physical form where they won't be able to choose in the same way. Right? So they're very much in a state of surrender and what's the word I'm looking for? Where things are just going to happen. There's very little that they can control. Right? So whether your dog chose the cleft lip or not, who knows? Right? Typically, they come down to be God's angels, source's angels. That's why they incarnate, to be angels, to be God's helpers. And everything else is a risk that they take when they incarnate. And that's for all animals. Emily, hi, Lori. How do you know if you have a mental illness or are evolving? My sweet niece, age 25, committed suicide earlier this month. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Emily. No one had any idea that she was suffering, and she never displayed symptoms of mental illness. My niece was such a bright light in this world, light emanated from her. Suicide contracted before birth, or is it free will? That's a complicated question. A lot of suicide right now is free will. Chosen. It's weird because it's definitely not, most suicides are not contracted. It's very difficult to be on the planet. And it's a risk that we take to incarnate, always. And we always have an out. What they're showing me with your niece, Emily, is very interesting. What they're showing me is that there was a conversation, so to speak, between your niece's ego personality that was suffering and her higher self. And it was almost like the ego personality was like, I'm going to tap out. And because of free will, the higher self was like, okay, she's tapping out. She's going to tap out. Right? The higher self is always watching us as us. So we are always, but if we don't have awareness of the higher self can't assist us through it. The higher self can't remind us that we're going to be okay. The higher self can't do any of that. And many, 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 especially young kids right now, teenagers in the 20s, things like that, in their 20s. It's really intense for them. And it's almost like it's not mental illness. It's not mental illness. It's the inability to handle this energetic world. It's very difficult to manage this world. The energies are so intense, and many, many young ones will not show signs. Many adults don't show signs. Many people would have no idea just how depressed and suicidal people are. That's why we really want to take into account how we treat people. Because you don't know what anyone's going through. You don't know what they're experiencing internally. And because we have been programmed to put on a happy face, we've been programmed to not be honest and authentic and raw and vulnerable and real. We can't really see who that person is. We can't really understand what they're going through. You know, if you ask somebody, how are you doing? And they're suicidal, they're sure the heck not going to tell you they're suicidal. Everything's fine. I'm great. You know, even ourselves, when I say, how are you doing? You know, many times we just default to, I'm good, I'm fine. What if we really just were brutally honest? You know, if we understood the energetic mess that we're not like mush, I should say mush, the energetic mush that we're in. And the teenagers and the people from like, you know, at a very early age to 20s, even 30s, it's very, very difficult to navigate what's occurring on the planet. It just is. It's difficult for us. And we're aware of all of this. So many people that are committing suicide do not have a mental illness. That is a deep, deep program. That you want to find a reason. Oh, they must have had a mental illness. No, it's called being a human in an energetic world on a physical planet that is going through a massive evolutionary shift in consciousness. Most of us want to pull our hair out at times. We're going up and down and all over the place. Imagine teenagers, imagine people in their 20s, and imagine just coming out of or still being in what occurred in 2020. The trauma that was induced in all of these young ones. It's massive. It's really big. We want to be even more gentle with people. We want to be even more gentle with ourselves. I'm really sorry, Emily, that your family had to experience that. Okay, Brenda. Hi, Lori. I'm an expat from the U.S. living in South Korea. For the past 2 years, we were required to wear masks indoor and out. On May 2nd, the outdoor mask ban was lifted. Hallelujah. It became socially acceptable not to wear a mask outside, yet at least 95% of the population are still wearing them. I notice I still have the same mental anxiety now as when I had to wear them outdoors. I feel happy and free, yet because most people aren't reflecting that back to me, my thoughts have a negative loop every time I go outside. I try not to focus on what everyone else is doing, but it feels very confronting, like I'm constantly being judged. I refuse to wear a mask outside if I don't have to. I try to remember that I'm not meant to follow the crowd and I'm not doing anything wrong. I know I'm here to be a beacon of light and reflect that back to people. Is it possible to tap into the energy of South Korea? It feels heavily programmed. Any advice or suggestions would be appreciated. Yeah, it's a deep, deep programmed country. I mean, listen, every country is programmed. It's just a matter of how programmed are they. I mean, we are just as programmed as South Korea. It's just a matter of what it looks like. I mean, we being the United States. I mean, listen, we are all programmed. So I think one of the gifts that we've all sort of received during these last couple of years is the ability to find ourselves in the midst of group think, right? We've been programmed, the whole world is programmed to do what the herd mentality does and to fit in. And if you don't, you are condoned. You are looked at as a bad person. You are looked at as a conspiracy theorist. You're looked at all of these things. But underneath all of that, what it's teaching us is truly sovereignty. Who am I? Who am I when I start to break out of programming? Who am I when I start to break out of the groupthink? And the programming is so deep that they're going to make you feel bad. They're going to make you feel guilty. They're going to make you feel ashamed. There's all this stuff, this pressure that is put on humans when they start to step out of a programmed state of being, and they start to step into their own sovereignty. And when you are stepping into your own sovereignty, it's a courageous act where you are honoring yourself and others. So you're not telling other people they're wrong or bad for wearing a mask. You're just truly honoring you. You're respecting what you need. You're respecting your truth. So you're not fighting against anything. You're simply being you. And because of this deep, deep programs on the planet, it's very difficult to break it. So you want to have compassion for yourself, Brenda. You want to have compassion for everybody else that isn't capable yet of perhaps really trusting their own sovereignty and what they actually really want to do. You know, maybe they don't really want to wear the mask, but there's so much fear around it, you know, and they're believing it all that they do. It's really not for us to figure out. What we're here to do is to practice who we are. Which seems ridiculous. Like I have to practice who I am. But think about that. You practice being more and more you in front of family, in front of friends, in front of coworkers, right? We're constantly acutely aware now of, am I being me? Am I being truly, authentically all of me? And it's really difficult when 95% of the people around you are doing it differently than you. So stay in your heart, right? Keep your heart open. Just do you. Just be all of you. Shine your light. Smile. Let them have whatever experience they're going to have around you. Let them have it. This is what really builds sovereignty, which doesn't have to be built. It's in us. It's in us. Lori, 2 years ago, I learned my deceased brother, Lyle. This is Kathy. 2 years ago, I learned my deceased brother, Lyle, had a daughter I never knew about. She would be about 50 years old now, and I have attempted to find her, but I have very little information to help me do that, not even a name. I would appreciate anything you could offer in order to help me locate her. I think you have to trust. Kathy, I would trust holding the intention. And if it's meant to be, it's going to be. Hold the intention of what you are wanting to pull into your reality, and then let go of an attachment to it. If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. Right? If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. So keep staying open and receptive to the universe, i.e. you, your higher self, your guides, bringing that reality into the now. Right? But let go of trying to force anything to happen. So you're taking action always, but you're taking action from or a detached position. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, great. And typically when we're detached, the highest outcome always unravels. And if we want the highest outcome to unravel, we have to be detached from what we think is the highest outcome. As much as we want something, we have to trust something bigger than ourselves. And we have to trust that if it is designed and divine, it will occur. So we keep the intention, but we let go of trying to control anything while we simultaneously take action toward it from a detached place. I know nothing. I know what I think I would like, but I know that there is always the highest outcome, and I'm okay with all of it. Does that work? Okay, let's move down a little bit. Elizabeth. I've been feeling a lot of intense energies this week, almost aggravated feeling, especially today. Achy, tired, and wired simultaneously. I took a nap and awoke to a beautiful symbol. Round, golden, intricate, yet simple and beautiful. It dropped into my aura near my head. Can you speak to this? Round, golden, intricate, yet simple and beautiful. It dropped into your aura. I don't know what that was, Elizabeth. I'm not exactly sure what that could have been, especially if it moved into your physical body. I'm not sure. What did it feel like when it dropped into your body? That will give you more of an indication of what it was. What did it feel like when it was dropped into the physical body? Nina, can a soul originate from Earth? Just as a soul can originate from the Palladians? It's a complicated question, but I often wonder what is meant when people refer to star seeds helping humans in the Ascension. I mean, we are all humans here on Earth, so can you be more human soul in human body, as well as other consciousnesses in human body? Okay, so the human is an experience. I want you to imagine that the human body is like a car. It's a vessel. It carries the experience of the human. Okay, so as a consciousness, when you drop into a human body, you start to experience the human experience. But that's why I don't believe in a human race. It's impossible. This is all an experience. Everything on the earth plane and on this planet is an experience that higher consciousness has on it. So your consciousness came from somewhere else. It's the same with the Palladians. This is all a simulation, so to speak. Okay. So the Palladians aren't actually from the Palladian star system. The Palladians is a word that we use for a collective group of consciousnesses that experience reality in the same way based on their frequency. Their consciousness is similar. You and I have very different consciousnesses. We're not similar. And the Palladians are not born on the Palladian star systems. Okay, they're not birthed there. It's a different way of moving into dimensional fields. It's not the same as this human experience, and it's not the same as how humans are born. Palladians, it's not like that, from my understanding and what I've been shown. It's very difficult to hold and understand this because we are very third dimensional. Our brains are very third dimensional, the small percentage that we have access to right now. So it's hard for us to understand how the energetic quantum field works. But if you are a Palladian consciousness, you can literally shift your frequency and move into a different consciousness or a different dimensional field just like this. The reason that there are names for these consciousnesses is because it helps us to understand the experience. The Palladians are only known as the Palladians in this experience. The Orions are only known as the Orions in this experience, this huge universe experience that we think is the end all be all is truly just a simulated experience. There is so much more beyond anything that you can comprehend. Anything that you have ever been taught or can comprehend about the solar systems, the galaxies, the universes upon universes and black holes, that is all held within this experience and experiment that we're in. And when you move beyond it and outside of the experience of this whole experiment that's being done, there are no Palladians. They're just consciousnesses. There is no Octurians. It's just consciousness. It's truly, simply consciousness experiencing consciousness. So the planet, the Earth, Gaia is a planet. Physical bodies hold consciousnesses, and consciousnesses come in order to experience this planetary body and this kind of evolution in consciousness that we're going through. You cannot, there is no human race that is designed. It's all experience. It's complex. There's a lot more to that, but Richard, dear Lori, it seems that I have chosen a life with minimum traumas and problems. Way to go, Richard. My guide was always guiding me in case of need. My question is, why does anybody choose a relatively easy and lucky life? Although at the moment I go through similar emotions and challenges as most light workers. Why would they choose? There's probably a lot of reasons. The first thing that pops in is that you have most likely, I don't want to say the word earned it, okay? But most likely, Richard, you have done a lot of work in other lifetimes. And many light workers have chosen this life not only to be the last life they have, but to kind of sit back and watch it all. It's almost like they're on a recliner and their legs are up and they're like, I'm going to look at all the work that I have done. I'm going to watch it now unfold. Because you have to understand that so many consciousnesses have been working diligently for thousands upon thousands of years as human in the human body or off the planet as higher dimensional consciousness to prepare the human and to prepare the earth for where it is right now. And so you come in and you're like, I'm going to chill this lifetime. I've done a lot of work. I'm going to relax, kick my feet up. No more traumas. I'm going to have the easiest life. Now, why would people not choose that? Why wouldn't everybody choose that, right? Many times, the reasons that we choose what we choose, right? Because I chose a lot of stuff, a lot of core consciousnesses to experience. It's going to have an impact assisting me in what I came onto the planet to do, right? And so we choose these things, believe it or not, in order to assist us in doing whatever it is that we came onto the planet to do. It gives us more tools in the toolbox, right? It gives us more to work with, right? Also, you do have a handful of core consciousnesses that you do have to pull in, but you get to choose. Are they going to be more intense or not? And then why are we choosing those? There's an infinite amount of reasons why people choose these core consciousnesses of traumas and victimhood stuff, right? And unworthiness. There's always a reason. It's just challenging at times to figure out what that reason is. And many times you don't really need to know what the reason is. But it gives you practice. It gives you like medals, you know, like you're really figuring out this world. It gives you tools. I mean, if you have a lot of trauma in your life and you've really moved through that trauma and understood it, you you potentially have powerful techniques and gifts within you that can assist humanity. So it all just depends. What's the difference between ascension symptoms and the aging process? It's a great question. Um, it depends. It depends on the human. It depends on the body. It depends on the trauma. It depends on what you're eating and what you're thinking and what you're believing and what you're doing. It's all very, very relative. Many people that are experiencing what people call ascension symptoms, which is literally, for me, what you're describing is just the process of evolving into your body, evolving into higher frequencies, your body moving into higher frequencies. Because it's your body, it's going to feel physical, obviously, right? There's going to be a lot of physical sensations that we feel. Simultaneously, we start to stop the aging process. Many of us are going to start to recognize that we're not aging in the same way. We're slowing down. We look like we're 20 years younger than the age that we actually are. So I always say when people ask about this is that, to me, it doesn't matter whether it is the symptoms of evolution, energetically, the body moving into higher states, or if it's the aging process. It's the lens I'm using. To me, that's what's most important. What is the lens that you're using? I don't look at anything that's happening in my life as if I am aging. Not happening. Because I know that for me, aging is slowing down. So whatever's going on in my body, right? Um, More wrinkles, more whatever. It's a program. It's physically showing up, but I have the ability to shift that through my thoughts and beliefs, right? I can choose to see things differently. I can choose to recognize what's happening on the planet and what's happening within my physical body, that is inevitable. Every single human body is holding more and more light. And when you hold more and more light, you move out of time. And when you move out of time, you move out of aging. But if you, like I said in the very beginning of this of live, I almost said class, if you are holding beliefs and thoughts based on deep programming that's going to hold you in a past version, then you're going to continue to find yourself aging in the same way, even though your body's holding higher frequencies. So it doesn't really matter. Just choose the lens you want to use. That's all. Choose the lens you want to use because you're in control. It's a good question. Lindsay, hi Lori. I listened to your urine therapy special the other week, and I'm very interested in starting this. I'm just wondering if there's any preparation I need to do, and do you stop doing it when you're on your period? The preparation that I did, Lindsay, when I started urine therapy, is that I started to pay attention at least the first 2 months. I mean, I dove headfirst in, and when you eat a lot of dense foods, cooked foods, okay, um, it's going to have an impact on the filtration of your urine. So your urine's going to taste like the food. It's not bad because your urine is sterile, okay, but it's you ideally, the less food that you eat when you start practicing this, the easier it is to drink the plasma, the urine. Um, and so I always recommend what kind of switching your diet in the beginning to more of a liquid diet. So more green juices, more smoothies. If you're going to eat, you eat dates and nuts, and fruit and vegetables, more of like a raw kind of diet, right? For in the beginning, whatever you can do though. You can't do this wrong. You'll just notice that as you are drinking your urine, that um, it's going to taste different, right? It's literally changed my life. I will do it for the rest of my life. And I don't know why, other than it brings me closer to myself than I've ever been. It's the only way that I can describe it. I'm not unhealthy. I'm not sick. I don't have disease. And if you did, it would be really great to do it. It just has brought me back to me in a way that I cannot explain. So, but it comes and goes. Like there's days where I'm like drinking it a lot, and there's days where I don't drink it at all, right? But I do notice that when I dive in, I'm not. I watch what I eat. You know, so that's it. That's what I would recommend. The less food you can eat in the beginning, the easier it will be. Your plasma, your urine will literally look like water, almost like coconut water. Right. And I also recommend drinking it as much as you can throughout the day, all like every day as you're starting it, if you can, you know. Roseanne, hi Lori. I'm crawling back to life after I got a job. My gratitude for this movement, how to not engage in reactions towards abusive narcissistic behaviors while I still am navigating life around them. Having already clarity that is circumstantial, it is going towards depart, but while I'm still in it, I am already allowing to feel whatever emotions to move through my body. They move in circles as the triggers are mostly the same. It reaches neutrality, the rattling intensifies. Is there a limiting line? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking, Roseanne. Is there a limiting line? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. How do you not engage in reactions towards abusive narcissistic behaviors while you're still navigating life around them? You just want to stay aware. The greatest gift that we can give each other is to be aware, right? To just be aware of how somebody is being with you, how you're being back, how your reaction or response is, how you feel when you're around them. Um, any patterns that you find yourself doing, like shutting down or getting quiet or people pleasing, right? We want to pay attention to those things because those are defense mechanisms. Those are ways in which we've learned to not um, face what is actually occurring. So we hide, we pretend, we deny who we are. Especially if you are engaging with narcissistic, abusive people, you may find yourself hiding in a hole or backing down, right? So it's important to just be aware. Biggest piece. Just be aware. Hold firm boundaries. Speak your truth. When you're with narcissistic people, the most important thing that you can freaking do is hold firm boundaries and speak your truth. Do those two things, and you will find that you will not only instigate that narcissist person to get louder and louder and louder, which only allows you to practice more and more, but you'll find that you'll no longer be able to be in the same space with them. You'll have to depart any kind of interaction as much as possible that you can do. That's not always easy, depending upon who it is. Hi, Bill. Hi. Every time I complete the Mary Magdalene meditation, I feel different, more open and brighter. I love that one. I should probably do it tonight. I'm trying to leave my diabetes behind. No luck yet. What else can I do? So this came in really loud as soon as I read your message, Bill, and it's uh, can you befriend the diabetes? Can you stop trying to leave it behind? What happens if you start befriending diabetes? This is why it's so important that we start surrendering to that which we don't want. I think that's one of the most difficult things for people to understand right now is how, because it doesn't feel natural. So it feels like the things that we don't want in our lives, we have to get rid of. We have to figure out a way to stop it or to change it or to fix it. And all I can say is based on my own experiences in life is that when I started actually just surrendering to what I didn't want in my life, that which I didn't want started dissolving. So it's the opposite of what we think we need to do and what we're taught. It doesn't feel right to surrender to diabetes. It doesn't sound right. But the moment that you surrender to diabetes is the moment that diabetes no longer has control over you. You're no longer trying to change or fix it. And diabetes will start to dissolve if you have the intention of diabetes no longer being in your body. And maybe diabetes is going to be in your body for the next 20 years. And maybe not. Our bodies are slowly going to move into more and more light, which perhaps is going to shift how we're experiencing the world in the physical form. So diabetes may or may not dissolve. But if you hold the intention of diabetes dissolving out of your body, but that you don't have to do anything and you don't have to get rid of it and you don't have to hate it and you don't have to dislike it, you can actually just surrender to the experience of it and let it go. Because as long as you hold the intention, which is an energetic way of creating in the quantum field, you're not trying to control the physical world in front of you. You don't create by controlling the physical world in front of you and trying to change the physical world in front of you. The physical world in front of you is a past. So you're trying to change a past. What you want to do is bring in the now, the future, into this physical reality now. And the way you do that is you don't believe what's in front of you other than you just surrender to it. You don't give it power. You just surrender to what you're in. The more we can do this, the faster we shift. Surrender to the past that you're experiencing as you're now. And know that through intention, you're tapping into a future now that is energetic, that will make its way into your physical now. But if you continue to believe the past physical now as the reality, as is, and you try to change it through from the physical experience, you're wrestling with the past. I think this is complicated and confusing. I think it's very quantum what's coming through, but I'm just speaking it. And maybe the more we hear it, the more we will understand how to do it. Because this has been coming in, I don't know, last couple of days. It's also coming in a lot today for us. So it is complicated. It is complex. It is quantum. Because you always want to stay in the now, but you have to surrender to it. And you have to know that you're in a quantum world, you're in a quantum field, which means that just because you're living in the physical reality and the physical reality is in front of you, that does not mean that is the only reality. And for most of us, it's a past that we're trying to wrestle with. And most of the time, it's based on past experiences. So what you want to pay attention to, and I don't think your diabetes is necessarily, I think your diabetes is more something you were born into or something that happened as you were growing up. Wasn't necessarily a trauma or emotions that you didn't feel. So energetically hold the intention of you without diabetes while you surrender to the diabetes that's in your now, that's a past. And stop trying to leave the diabetes behind. You don't leave the diabetes behind. A new version of you enters in, and the diabetes dissolves. How do you help loved ones stuck in denial with substance use issues? You don't. Take it from somebody that had addictions. You can't. It's the hardest thing from my experience of not only being somebody that had addiction, but also being around people that had addiction. You can't. You cannot get them to see what they are not willing to accept. It won't happen, unfortunately. Lisa, I would love advice and support to help my acid reflux and anchored. I have looked everywhere. I have zero answers. What do you do when you get no answers? Should I fast? You should fast. I'm only saying you should fast, Lisa, because you asked the question. And I've said this many times. I deeply, deeply believe this. When we are learning how to listen to our bodies, we will ask questions that hold the actual answer. So if you're asking, should I fast? Your body's asking you to fast. That's how we start to listen to the body. We start to say to ourselves, well, maybe I should do this. Doesn't make any sense. Your body's trying to get you to pay attention. Yes, please fast. Fasting, I believe, is one of the fastest ways to heal the body. I truly believe that. So, fasting and feeling. Oh, I mentioned fasting because you mentioned fasting earlier. Or maybe it's your body asking you to fast. Maybe that was the indication or the sign that you needed. Listen deeper to the intuition. Right? A dear friend of mine has acid reflux, and he can't eat a lot. Anytime he eats stuff, he gets sick, and it's a lot. He's in a lot of pain. So if you're listening to the body, and the body is always in a state of healing, and there's nothing wrong with the body. The body is always sending you signals in order to keep you in a state of healing. So if you have acid reflux, then for whatever reason, your body can't digest or cannot experience food in the same way. Otherwise, you wouldn't have acid reflux. So are there foods that you eat that don't create the acid reflux? And then you get to have all the emotions around this fact that it sucks that you have acid reflux until the acid reflux maybe dissolves at some point. So it's less about, in my opinion, you can take it with a grain of salt. It's less about trying to get rid of something. And it's more about surrendering to what it is that your body needs. And I don't know I'm not an expert in any of this. So literally take it with a grain of salt. I'm sure there's a lot of people in here that have all kinds of answers. Lois, I feel like I'm going backwards rather than forward. I'm not working as much, which I wanted, but my part of my ego still holds on to wanting more money. So therefore, I feel like I'm going backward now. So I can say that right now, there could be almost like a rerouting, Lois, or a recalibrating, where there are new, what's the word I want to use? New expressions or new venues or new outlets that want to be birthed out of you or felt, experienced, heard, remembered. And it's hard to explain, but many times we have to pause or get really quiet in order to recalibrate. So you're designed to make a lot of money. You're designed to have abundance. You're designed to to have that in your life. But what may be happening, and this may be happening to a lot of people, is that there's a slowing down right now. The wheels are slowing down because there's a recalibration happening in order for you to feel and to hear and to remember what's next. So it's scary and it's frightening, because you want to be making more money. There's nothing wrong with that. Having more abundance is great. But the more that we become aware of just how this energetic world works and how we are working, the more we become aware of everything, the more we move into higher states of consciousness, the more we're going to find ourselves slowing down. And it's not that you're going backwards. You're simply moving into higher states of awareness and consciousness, which feels like a slowing down. Because it's the only way that we start to follow the highest outcome is that we have to slow down to feel it. We have to slow down to hear it. And it's extremely uncomfortable to slow down. It's extremely uncomfortable to feel like you're in that waiting period. It's extremely uncomfortable to feel like you are going backward. None of us are actually going backward. It's impossible. Why? Because your body's holding higher frequencies than you were a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 1 year ago. So you can't go backward. The only thing you can do is hold thoughts and beliefs and behaviors from the past in a now, where your body's holding a different frequency. That's it. We don't actually go backwards, and it doesn't work that way. So there's something recalibrating for you. Just remember who you are. Yeah, slowing down is a big one. I heard it massively today. Slow down. Also, Lois, there's a new moon on Monday, and it's extremely powerful, potent new moon. And I was going to go live on Instagram with my girlfriend Cartsy B. You guys know Cartsy because she came on and did the she did the card reading for us, and I think we brought some people on. She does these really powerful like rituals / spells like, witch spells. And she said that the new moon on Monday is going to be really, really potent. And she sent me this like ritual thing to do, this glass bowl. And hold on, Lois, let me go grab it and I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. Okay. So I think I was really guided to do an Instagram live with her tonight, actually, to talk about the new moon and this ritual that she wanted to do. Because I told you guys, pretty sure I told you that last full moon, I did that ritual to bring in my partner. I tell you that. And she's a very powerful, quote unquote, witch, good witch. There's no such thing as bad witches, but you know what I mean. Did I tell you guys that? Yeah. The eclipse season. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, she said she actually mailed this. She FedExed this glass bowl, and she said and then she gave me Rose of Jericho. Rose of Jericho. Okay. And she said to put the Rose of Jericho in the glass bowl, and then to fill this dish with water on the new moon, which is on Monday. And I wish I could remember what she said about this new moon, but really setting the intentions of that energetic expression or version that's coming in to meet you physically. So, Lois, if you can go get Rose of Jericho, it's transformation, it's a transformation and resurrection plant, right? So, anywho, it's a Gemini new moon. It's a spell. This is a spell for cleansing and transforming any blocks and receiving love. So spells for cleansing and transforming any blocks as well as receiving love. So again, if you can get Rose of Jericho, stick it in a glass ball or bowl, fill the bowl up and set your intentions. Off we go to the races. I'm sure it's still good, Sandra. I don't know if they get old. Yeah, try it out. Maria, hi Lori. So many different sources talk about an upcoming event or flash. No, they people are always talking about upcoming flashes and events. There's always solar flashes occurring. It's just a matter of how potent they are and the intentional shifts that they're going to make on the planet. So everything is the way that we evolve or ascend or shift into higher states of consciousness is that the body is receiving more light from the sun. And so there is more and more of these solar flashes that people call events. And maybe there's other things that are happening out there in this quantum field that people are calling events. But everyone's going to experience them differently, and they're happening all the time. Everybody thought in 2021 there was going to be this massive event where everybody was going to have this powerful experience where they were going to shift into the 5D and the world was going to be different. And typically, the way that we evolve is very natural. It's not rattling to the system. It's not going to create massive chaos for us. And if you've been in this awakening realm for a while, you know that these are always being given to people. Like, prepare, there's another event. Prepare, there's a huge flash. Prepare, there's a huge this. It's like, how many times do we need to hear these stories and realize that it just is? Stop putting so much attention on these events and solar flares. They're happening all the time. All the time. That's how we're evolving so quickly. And how many times have you heard of some solar flare or some huge event coming and then it happened and you're like, not sure, right? So take all of these, my recommendation for all of this is to not attach to any of it. Just stay present. Stay present with the energies that you're feeling, stay present with what you feel called to do. The earth isn't going to destruct. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to destruct the planet. The only thing that's happening is there's an evolution. So more and more and more light. More and more light. Grace, lately I've been deeply troubled by my own feelings of resentment and jealousy. I work in a home for wealthy people. I often see the material things and abundance they have. It amazes me that they do not realize how fortunate they are. My boss will complain to me daily when a small aspect of her life goes wrong, and I feel I have to console her. It makes me angry. When I sit with it, I feel the despair, belief that I will never have the same abundance they do. How do I shift this? I know it's a gift for me. Full body goosebumps, Grace. Anytime that I have ever felt jealous, it is an opportunity for me to see a future version of me that I'm not in yet. Period. From my experience. So you're showing you what you have the potential to step into. But because we don't trust that or believe that, or maybe even feel worthy of it, we may even feel worse about ourselves because we are trying to show ourselves what we need to see that we hold within us that is blocking us from receiving it. Do you understand? When you are presented with it, with an external person, event, whatever, that creates jealousy, many times, please know that this is not all the time, but many times it is you showing you a future version of you that you aren't going to be able to step into or pull into your reality yet, because of the limiting beliefs that are going to arise as you are watching this external person, place, event. What's coming up, right? What's coming up? You're never going to have the same abundance. You're never going to have the same abundance. What is it, right? I can't imagine that this is mine, but I want it to be mine. Do you feel guilty about wanting that kind of abundance? Do you feel ashamed for wanting that kind of abundance? There is nothing wrong with wanting to have abundance like that, wealth. Nothing. It's a deep program that we hold on this planet that literally holds us back, saying that having a large amount of wealth and money in that sense is bad, greedy. As you start moving into higher states of consciousness, it's not about the money. It's not. It's about the way in which you are experiencing the world. And if there is a desire for money and for abundance and for having these nice things, so be it. But your state of consciousness, your state of awareness isn't going to change if you have it, but you can still desire it. Right? You can still have that desire. You can still create it. You can still intend it into your life. Why not? If we live in if we live in an infinite and abundant world, bring it on. It's just that you aren't attached to it making you happy or free or any of that, right? So, Grace, basically what's happening right now is that you are giving yourself an opportunity to look at what is blocking you from stepping into abundance. It's really not about these people. They're a gift to you. You know, they're showing you who you are in a future now that isn't in the present. And they're giving you the opportunity to look at any blocks that you hold that's stopping you. Every time we feel jealousy and we get angry at the person because we're jealous, we're missing the point. Louise Marie, is there anything special with birds right now? Difficult to explain, but it feels like they are big actors in the ascension. I don't know. There's a lot of different theories around birds. I mean, what I've been experiencing with every insect, animal, all of it is that to me, they're not. It's like they are alive in ways that I've never seen before. It's like they're talking to me, or they're expressing, or I'm having very different experiences and exchanges with all sentient beings right now on the planet. I don't know if they are big actors, because I don't really know what that means to you, but they're always showing us signs. They're always showing us symbolisms. They're always communicating. Always. They're always communicating. But insects and animals and birds and like reptilians and like all these different, and like mammals and everything is very different to me now. I experience it all as if they are communicating in every single freaking way. It's crazy. Do you feel like attachments are going to fall away more quickly this summer? Kyle mentioned this today. I had chills. I mean, attachments are this summer. I don't know when, but attachments are always falling away. Every day you have an opportunity to let go of attachments. Every day. So is this going to amp up in the summer? I don't know. It depends on each person. It depends on how aware you are. It depends on your trauma. When you move into higher states of consciousness and higher states of awareness, do you let go of attachments more and more? Absolutely. Absolutely. Does it happen through awareness and also quite naturally? Yeah. So what happened with me and what is happening with me is first I had to become aware of all my attachments. I had to become aware of what I was attached to in my life, the things that I felt like I needed in order to make me feel certain ways, the things that I grabbed a hold of that I didn't want to leave my life, whether it was a person, an experience, a way in which I did things. Attachments can feel like you need to grab it and make sure it stays. You control it. Right? Attachments are something that you depend on to make you feel a certain way. The tricky thing with attachments is that you're going to have desires for things in the external world, like relationships and jobs and food and Netflix. You can desire things without an attachment, which means that you would love to experience it. And if it goes away, you're okay. That's detachment with desire. I'd love to have this beautiful house that I live in, and I'd love to be able to stay here for a very long time, but if it goes away, I'll be okay. I'll trust. I love this relationship I'm in. It feels so amazing, blah, blah, blah. But if it goes away, I'm going to be okay. You're learning how to detach from the need to have something in your life that you believe is going to give you something that you don't already have within you. This is tricky. There are layers to it. It's not black and white. There is a lot of gray, and there are a lot of examples that you'll throw at me and say, well, what about this? What about this? Right? Because we can always find things that you're like, everything is a desire over an attachment. Everything. That's what we're learning how to be in. So what I've been noticing throughout my last couple of years is the more I recognize what I'm attached to, the more I energetically imagine detaching from it. If it goes away, I will be safe. If it goes away, I will be okay. This is sovereignty, learning that you are safe to be in the world and that you don't have to be afraid of whatever is going to unravel, that you are taken care of, that you are going to be okay. The reason we grab and attach to so many things is that we don't feel safe in the world. We don't feel safe. What if you're safe? If you knew you were safe, if you knew you were taken care of, if you knew that you were always being guided to the highest versions of you, you wouldn't attach to as much. So you start recognizing what you're attached to. You start energetically experiencing it from a detached state as much as you can. If it goes away, will I be okay? If it goes away, will I be okay? I'll be okay. I'll be okay, right? You start noticing everything that you're attached to. You start energetically detaching by letting yourself know that you'll be okay. And then what starts to happen quite naturally is that you find yourself in a flow state. You find yourself not trying to control much of anything because a lot of control comes from attachment. We are attached to situations, outcomes, circumstances, etc. And so we control our world in order to stay in the attachments. So the moment you let go of the attachments, you let go of control and you start moving into a flow state, which is a deep state of surrender and trust. And it happens first by being aware of what you're attached to, second, by choosing to detach from it, and third, you start to naturally move into flow. So is it going to happen in the summer? I have no idea. It's happening right now. It's happening in your now. Right here, right now, it's happening. I'm never a big fan of like, these things are going to happen at this point or on this time or this time, because it's all relative. It's all based on choice. Linda, I'm wondering how to clear some old trauma that is affecting my ability to feel. Love or pain. My alternative doctor is telling me that it's where my physical problems are coming from. It's so annoying when someone tells you that your physical problems are coming from trauma that you may or may not be feeling right now. Here's the thing. Whatever is arising in front of you, whatever you are feeling in front of you, is what you need to pay attention to. If you are feeling fear, you're in a future. So you want to pay attention to, I'm feeling fear right now. If you're feeling anger, you want to let yourself feel the anger, because underneath anger is sadness. You want to feel sadness, right? If all of a sudden what's popping up is an argument with your mother or your father or your brother, you want to pay attention to how you're feeling. Trauma is cleared in the moment that you feel the emotions that you don't want to feel. Trauma begins to clear from the body when you allow yourself to feel whatever emotions are arising that you don't want to feel. It's that simple. What happens is that we try to go look for it. You can't find it. It's going to arise when it needs to arise based on when you're ready to feel it. If your all physical problems, by the way, most physical problems come from energy. Energy stored in the body. Most energy is emotion experienced from an external experience. So your doctor's not telling you anything. Your doctor is basically just creating anxiety for you. She or he is not trying to do it on purpose, but it can create anxiety. I mean, that's a blanket statement, right? Like physical problems stem from stagnant energy, which is most likely emotion, which is trauma. Okay. Thank you. I know that. So how do you handle that? You trust and remember that every single thing that arises in front of you based on an experience or a person or a place, whatever's happening in your now, that is uncomfortable, that you don't like, that you don't want to feel, that you want to ignore, that you want to change, that you want to deny, is trauma. And all you got to do is feel it. And when you feel it, it begins to dissolve out of your body and you begin to, quote unquote, heal. And the more you feel, the more you will recognize the trauma it's coming from, because you're starting to befriend the feelings and you're starting to remember that you're safe to feel them. Oh, feeling anger and rage and sadness and depression and fear and whatever. Oh, here it comes again. Then you start befriending these emotions. So it's layers, because if you're deeply, deeply programmed like I was and like a lot of people, and you're not in your body, you weren't in your body most of your life, you're not even going to know what you're feeling. You're literally going to go throughout your day and be like, I don't feel anything. That's how we have desensitized ourselves from feeling. We've protected ourselves from feeling. Right? We pull ourselves out of the body and we go about our day and we're like, I feel great. I feel fine. I don't feel anything. I feel nothing. It's only when we slow down and start to really ask ourselves, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What am I thinking? What am I doing? Right? You start to investigate your day every day throughout your day. Then you start realizing what you're really feeling. You have to remember that we have been programmed and we have learned how to not feel. So you're starting to learn how to feel, Linda, and you don't want to go searching for it. Don't go searching for the trauma. Trust your body. You don't need to clear any of it. Let your body show you what you need to feel throughout your day. And all you need to do is just pay attention to you throughout your day. Baby steps, small things. Trauma heals through your awareness and through feeling. Okay? And your body's going to do it with you. Trust me, your body's going to do it with you. Matt. Hi, Lori. We spoke on a super chat back in March regarding helping myself to become a healer. Since then, my website and a chance to work with a holistic shop have happened. Yay. Lately, though, I've had a few clients who disagree with what comes up during sessions. Yes. Do you have any advice on how to deal with people who aren't ready to handle their truth? The advice that I could give you is having compassion for their resistance, having discernment. And I remember you and I remember your heart and I remember how soft you were. So I imagine that everything that comes out of your mouth is very soft and compassionate. So their resistance or their disagreement is just their inability to be ready to see it or to hear it. So you just want to keep showing up. You want to keep speaking. You want to trust. You want to have that discernment of what to share, what not to share, what you're seeing. Okay. So if you see a lot in their field, you just want to start picking it apart. You want to start perhaps asking, there is something that I'm noticing. Are you okay if I share with it? You might not resonate. You might resonate, right? You want to, you may be seeing a lot, Matt, that they're not ready to see. And so you want to have that awareness as well. What I mean by that is when you start to read energy fields, okay, and you're learning, it's like you're just starting out reading energy fields. You have to understand that most of what you're reading energetically, they're not yet aware of. So if you have that knowingness, okay, what I'm seeing, they're not quite aware of. That's why I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it so that I can be a vessel for them if they're ready to hear it. So if you have that in the back of your mind as you are reading the field and you're expressing to them what you're tapping into, what you're noticing, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, you'll start to discern a little bit more what they may or may not be ready to hear. We don't always know that. And so we tiptoe sometimes, right? You want to kind of tiptoe. You want to maybe test the waters. Many times, if I hear something that I may feel could be jarring or even a little bit rattling, I will say, hey, there's something coming through. It may kind of, take it with a grain of salt. It may rattle you a little bit. I don't know. And then I share it. Now that's just my way. There's so many other people that just shoot from the hip. And like, the Tony Robbins, the Teal Swans, they just shoot from the hip and they give it to the people. So there's all different ways that we can do it. But if it's coming through, then the person is ready to hear it. They just don't realize they're ready to hear it. But you also want to have you want to be soft with the information as well. So it's up to you how you handle it. It feels like to me, Matt, that you have access to a lot around their energetic fields and that there's no mistake why they came to you. Okay, so there's no mistake that they are asking for your assistance and guidance. So you just want to be aware of your potency and your abilities. And if they disagree, let them disagree. Just be okay with it, right? Like just, yes, that's okay. Maybe I'm wrong. That's how I would handle it. Again, I'm not a Tony Robbins or a Teal Swan or these people that just shoot from the hip. So um, sometimes the tough medicine is what people need. So it's about how you want to deliver it. It's about how you want to experience it with them. But congratulations on getting everything up and running. Really happy for you. All right, I'm going to do one or two more, and then we're going to get going. Jill. Hi, Laura. I heard another spiritual teacher today mention that our guides are pulling away as we start to fully embody our higher selves. We are to be turning inward, listening to ourselves, and not relying on anything external. I feel like there's some truth to that, but it's a process. Yep, I agree. Yeah. You know, I think that as we mature as spiritual spirits, I shouldn't say spiritual, I should say spirits in the human body, we start to navigate the energetic world on our own. Right? I mean, one of the reasons that we have guides is because they assist us through this energetic world because we forgot how to navigate the energetic world. So they're reminding us of who we are and what we're doing here and blah, blah, blah. But my experience has been, I would say the last year and a half, my guides have gotten quieter and quieter. And when they do come in, they're louder and louder. So like this morning, they were super loud, but I don't have any judgment around it. I don't have a story around it. I think it's all stories. You know, will our guides start to get quieter? Maybe. Will they get louder? Maybe. Does any of it matter? No. It's all stories. The only thing that matters, in my opinion, is are you showing up for you and the world? Are you authentic? Are you feeling everything? Are you experiencing everything? Are you stopping all judgment around what you're experiencing and feeling and thinking? Right? Are you able to hold people with more compassion and empathy? And everything else is like, you know, it's extra stuff that's great. Guides are freaking phenomenal, but you know, are we going to hear them less or more? I don't know. Who cares? You know, God bless all of us, but the big scheme of things, they're not going anywhere. Our guides aren't going anywhere. Are we designed to navigate this through higher self? 1,000%. When you start embodying higher self, you don't feel the need for guides. That's the difference. You don't feel the need to have guides when you are really starting to embody the higher self, when you're living with higher self as higher self more and more, because you are so connected to not only who you are, but the energetic world. So you're not asking guides for a lot. You're not needing guides, you know, but they're there just as they're always there. They don't go anywhere. They don't go anywhere. So it's just a matter of you learning to start to kind of drive the car now. You don't need help, but they're still in the car with you. They're still in the car with you. I just think a lot of this stuff we have to be careful with because there can be a lot of like judgment around it. Like, oh my God, do I need my guides? You know, why am I asking for my guides all the time? Maybe there's something wrong with me, right? Like we have to be really careful, especially in the spiritual communities of like, you know, what we should be feeling and what we should be thinking, what we should be doing. If you're living with your higher self, you won't be feeling your guides as much. And then all of a sudden you start feeling your guides a lot and you're like, well, there must be something wrong with me because this person told me that if I was embodying my higher self, I wouldn't be hearing my guides all the time. And I'm still hearing my, you know, you get it? Like all these stories of how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to get through this and how we're supposed to navigate it. It's all nonsense if you're attached to it. Just let it all be. Erica, I've been feeling floaty and ungrounded, like I'm viewing the world from a distance. Oh, girl, I know that one. I spend most of my time in nature, solo, or with the kids I teach nature medicine to. I only experience this ungroundedness when I go into the world. Maybe just driving, go through a grocery store. It's hard to relate to most people. It's like I'm living in a different world and can still see the other old world. I hear that this is the shift of our bodies to being more crystalline. Yeah, so the fancy word is crystalline. It's just holding more light. And what you're describing is a stage or a experience that starts to happen where your body, Erica, is starting to hold more light. And as you go out into a very dense third dimensional field, your body is holding itself in more of a higher dimensional field. So I want you to imagine that here's the third dimensional field, and here is a higher dimensional field that's in the third dimensional field is in that other higher dimensional field. So you're experiencing both dimensional fields at the same time. And when we start doing that, we can feel ungrounded, like we're spaced out, like we're here, but we're not here, right? It can feel as if you are floaty, like you're not really participating, that you're in, but you're not really in. It's not grounded down. Eventually, what you're going to find is that you are going to start to ground down the frequency that your body is holding out in the world. The quantum field experiences these dimensions simultaneously, which means that you go out into a very dense, chaotic, third dimensional field or world while you are holding higher frequencies in your body, which means you're experiencing perhaps a little bit of a higher dimensional field simultaneously. So you're experiencing both, but you're going to start to be grounded and anchored into that higher dimensional field while you are standing in that low third dimensional field. So you won't feel as floaty. You're going to feel grounded, but you're not grounded in a third dimensional world. You're grounded in that fifth dimensional world that we're stepping into, that we're accessing. Does that make sense? It's all energetic. It's all experienced energetically. But it's confusing because we see what we see, and it's difficult to see the difference between a third dimensional field and a fifth dimensional field because they're both in the same reality. But you're going to see it through the lens of a third dimensional lens or a fifth dimensional lens. A tree's going to look different. A bird's going to feel different. A person's going to sound different. But when you first start holding much more light, you're going to be like, what is going on here? And it's going to come and go. Days where you're going to feel really floaty and days where you're going to feel really physical and dense. So it's just one of the phases that we go through. It's a great question. I love that question. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, great. Yeah. Alicia. Okay, this is going to be my last question. Hi, Lori. I recently ended a 7-year relationship. I now live alone and completely redid my apartment, space, etc. I love my new space, but now there is a voice, pretty sure my ego, telling me that I may lose it all, that I will be alone forever. Basically, in my head, telling me that all I'm doing is crazy. It's loud at night, but I overall feel good. What advice do you have to navigate this back and forth? Okay, this is such a great question. I love it because it's so like juicy and human. Give me a second. I'm just going to use the restroom really fast. Give me 1 second. I'm back. Sorry. Don't worry, I fixed it. I fixed it. All right. Okay. Um trying to read your lips. That is going to be challenging. All right. So you live alone now. You got rid of a 7-year relationship. There's a voice saying, I'm going to lose it all. I'm going to be alone forever. I'm going crazy in my head. It's always late at night. I feel overall, you feel good though. How do you navigate this back and forth? This is what I like to call the boxing match between your old version and your new version. This is a phase. This is absolutely a stage of evolution, and it is a fun one. It's when you're in the ring with an old version of you. It's that simple. So you want to look at it, and I'm not saying a boxing ring like you're fighting against something, because that's not what's happening. There's just two versions of you that are in the now moment experiencing each other, going back and forth, and you're like, I'm going crazy. Because what's so beautiful about what you're describing, Alicia, is that you know that what you're in is awesome. You're excited, right? There's not a lot of fear. However, this old version is creeping up based on programming and trauma that's like, you're not safe. You're going to lose it. You're going to be alone, because it is reminding you of all the ways in which you have lived unworthy, protective, closed, insecure, afraid. And as you start stepping into being more secure, more confident, more you, more free, more abundant, this version of you is going to be like, excuse me, did you forget all the things that happened to you in your past? Did you forget that you're not safe? Did you forget that you're going to be alone? Did you forget, like, it's going to convince you. It's going to try to convince you of why you need to stay back, why you need to go back to the way it was, right? Why you need to go back to the old programming and patterns. And because you're happy where you are, you're like, excuse me, but no, now there's a quote unquote battle going on. It's the greatest gift because you're aware. You're aware. Shifting transformation is happening right here, right now for you. You're in the transformational process. You're literally in, it's like you're truly moving out of the cocoon, or not the cocoon, the part of the caterpillar place where they're in that crustacean phase. You're starting to burst open and become that butterfly. So as long as you have that awareness, then you can start having the conversation around you of like, I'm not believing this. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of having this. And then the next day you have the same fears. And then you remind yourself, I'm worthy. It's like you have to cement this new version of you into the now. I was always worthy of this. I was worthy of freedom. I was worthy of abundance. I was worthy of unconditional love from a partner. I'm worthy of feeling all of me, no matter what. I'm worthy. And then this voice is going to come in and it's going to say, are you really? Don't you remember? Don't you know that this is how it happens, that this is what you need to be afraid of, that this is what you need to prepare for, this is what you need to think about? Don't you realize this is going to be pulled out from under you? Who do you think you are? Why do you think it can be this easy? Why do you think it can be this free? Why? It can't. It's never supposed to be this way. It's not supposed to be this easy. Really? Why not? This is evolution. This is literally how you move into higher states of consciousness. You start asking yourself, what am I doing? Why am I choosing that way of thinking? Why can't it be easy? Why can't I be worthy? Why can't I step into and surrender to something so great that I can't see it right now? Why can't I feel safe? Why can't I create the most amazing apartment and settle in and kick my feet up and say, bring it. Bring it all. Bring the new partner. Bring the abundance. Bring the joy. Bring the freedom. Bring the laughter. Bring the dancing. Bring it. I'm ready. It's all about us coming back home to us. It's about us letting go of all the programming from trauma, all the ways people have told us that we're supposed to live and that we're supposed to experience this world, letting all of it go. You choose. You choose. It's truly that simple. This came up today and I didn't do a video on it, but it's a lot of insecurities are going to be coming up for us right now. A lot of insecurities. Because it's showing us how we have lived and what we have believed about ourselves. Every single thing that you believe about yourself that is based on an insecurity came from either somebody else or an outside experience. Think about that for a minute. We are not naturally born to hold insecurities and to think poorly of ourselves. Quite the opposite. We are naturally, innately designed to remind ourselves of how badass, amazing, courageous, and loving, and worthy, and all of it. That's our natural state of being. But we were dropped into a third dimensional world and matrix where a hell of a lot of trauma happened. And we are connecting with millions of humans all over the world that have trauma and programming. And so they tell us who we are. They tell us what to think and feel. We experience things out there that create these insecurities. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you have a whole pile full of insecurities and you believe yourself to be these. And you're none of them. None of them. Let that sink in. Truly, let it sink in. We have literally been living in illusions our whole lives. And it has been keeping us protected from the most amazing lives that we deserve to live. All based on a past. And so, Alicia, you're sitting in a now moment, completely new moment, completely new you. And an old version of you wants to stand in the boxing ring and convince you of why this isn't going to be okay. And that version of you just needs to be heard. It just needs to be seen. Just needs to be recognized. And there's nothing to be afraid of. Nothing. It's just you starting to be in awe of what this world, what this human experience is all about. What I've been doing lately, by the way, just an FYI.com, cacao nibs, and I don't know why the word nibs even is part of a vocabulary. Like, why do we have the word nibs? What is a nib? Like, why don't we just call it like cacao chips or something? Like, anywho, cacao nibs and rose petals have literally changed my life. I feel like a very different person right now drinking this. Anywho, I think that's it. I hope that helped, Alicia. I'm sure it did for somebody, perhaps you, somebody else. My Christmas cup. Why do I have a Christmas cup? Um, I put cinnamon in it. So amazing. I just feel like I'm gonna do one more question and then we're done. I definitely need an upgrade on the cup. I have my unicorn cup. I love my unicorn cup. I just don't know where it is. Oh my God, you have to try it. Will you do another video or speak more on the topic of the 12th dimensional grid? It's in my book, and I'm going to be talking all about it when the book comes out. I'm going to be doing an 8-week live course diving deep into what's in the book. So I will go way into depth on the 12th dimensional grid because to me, it is probably the most fascinating thing that came through. Um, and I believe it is the crux of this entire existence and experience. No, I will not be taking the Christmas cup on tour. Also, is the choice to awaken in this lifetime something we 100% planned before we dropped in? 1000%. 1000% we planned on waking up. It's just a matter of free will, crossing our fingers. Yeah, I love the 12th dimensional grid. It's the most fascinating, what the heck complex thing. Yeah. Can you share more about transcending this game? I don't see it as transcending it. I see it as surrendering into it, playing the game. I don't ever see myself as transcending it, evolving out of it. I see myself moving deeper into the game and deeply surrendering to all of it. I believe if we try to transcend out of it, try to um, be out of it, live out of it, you are resisting or denying the actual experience of being consciousness in physical form. We're designed to be in the game, otherwise we wouldn't have come down. So when you talk about transcending the game, to me, that's a state of awareness. I am not the game, but I'm playing the game. So that would be a way of transcending it in a way, but I'm diving in. Give me all of it. Give me all the juice. Give me all the dirt. Give me all the pain. Give me all the emotion. Give me everything. Give me all the trauma. Give me it. That's why I'm here. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to bypass or transcend or stay in these super high states of consciousness if that's not where I'm at. Today, I'm in a super high state of consciousness. I'm like loving the drug that I'm drinking right now, but I'm not attached to it. I have no attachment, and I'm definitely not going to try to keep myself here. So if I always know that I'm in some game called the Earth, called planet Earth, being a human, then I go with the flow of everything. To me, it's all about surrendering into everything all day long, no matter what, without stories or judgments. Okay, you guys, I believe that is it. I believe we did pretty well. Were we already awake at birth but got reprogrammed? Yes. And a lot of kids stayed awake. They were able to stay alert and awake, depending upon their childhood, for quite some time. But most of us get pretty programmed pretty quickly. And if you imagine the world and just the words that are given to you in school, the things that people say to you, I mean, it's really hard to stay wide awake. Very difficult. That is why there is so much suicide, and that is why there are so many quote unquote mental people being diagnosed with mental disorder. You know? All right, you guys. So I think that's it. I'm really, really happy with our 2 hours we spent together. Thanks for being here and being in the community. Our next live event is Saturday, June 4th at 9 a.m. California time. It's the mini session. The post will be up tomorrow, and you can submit your name in the comment section of the post if you want a mini session. And I pick 3 names the day before the mini session. So I'll be picking 3 names on June 3rd, and I'll email you if you are somebody if your name got chosen. How do I make the cacao drink? So I took cacao nibs and I took rose petals. I literally went to my grocery store. It's a health food store. And I got dried, out of the bulk bin, I got dry rose petals. That's what it said, rose petals. And then I got cacao nibs that were in the bulk section. And then what I did, I don't even know if I did it right. I don't think I did, but whatevs. I took the cacao nibs and the rose petals and I put it in my little pouch. Like a cloth pouch that you put herbs in to make tea. And I heated up my water and then I put the pouch in the water and sealed it with my little lid. And then I let it steep 20 minutes maybe. And I put some cinnamon in it. Viola. It's amazing. How much of each? I don't know. I just filled up the pouch. The pouch was like this big. I just filled it up. I filled it up with a lot of the rose petals, like 3/4 rose petals, and then like 1/4 of the cacao nibs. It's really good. And then I put the cinnamon. I put the cinnamon on at the end, I think. But there's tons of people that I think do all kinds of cacao ceremony stuff here. But it's pretty freaking amazing. Now I understand why people do cacao ceremonies. Holy cow, this is no joke. Honest to goodness, it's no joke. All right. Okay, I love you guys. I will see you Saturday. Be gentle with yourself. I may go on Instagram Live in a little bit and share some stuff as well. I may bring Cartsy on. So if you have Instagram and you want to join us, be on the lookout. All right, you guys, I love you. See you Saturday. Thanks for being here. We're already in June almost. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy. Okay. Mwah.